My friends, for our Liturgy of the Word on this 29th Sunday in the Ordinary Time, we heard Jesus' conversation with the apostles, and he talked about one of the central points of his teaching, the good news about being a servant. This is central in the teaching of Jesus, for he himself is called the servant of God, and he has a very deep and profound teaching on the meaning of servanthood. So that's what we will talk about today. First, we will go into the meaning of the word servant from grammar and from logic. What is the status of that word? And then we will go into the understanding of what it means to be a servant based on the gospel, on the understanding of Jesus. And then we will finally concretize this very briefly and look into the experience of being a servant. We look no further. We look at how we live servanthood here. You know, how do we, all of us, witness, testify to being a servant in St. Vincent de Paul, all of us together. How are we living this call to servanthood, and as reflected in the events, you know, what are happening in our parish at this moment. We will point out the testimony of servanthood based on our experience as a community. So let's begin immediately. First, the word servant. In English grammar, of course, in English is monosyllabic. If you have two or more syllables, it's no longer pure English. It came either from Latin or from French, or so it is two syllables. It came from Latin. Servant is a relative term. It cannot stand by itself. When you speak of servant, it implies a master. Okay? The servant cannot stand on his own. Like when you say student, there is a teacher. Or mother, there is a father. Or a child, parents. These are relative terms that their full meaning can only be understood in terms of their relationship to something else. So, here you will get the concept already. When you speak of servant, there is a master. Okay? And that the main function or job of a servant is to connect, communicate with the master so he knows what to do. A servant should not have an agenda of his own. His job is to execute whatever the master tells him. If he does things on his own, he's a poor servant. He will need a spanking, you know, or he could be fired because he is not acting according to the will of the boss. He is functioning on his own. That is a no-no for a servant. You know, you have to wait. So it implies direct communication with the master, you know, consultation with the master. In our case, in our spiritual life, it means silence and prayer and listening to what does the Lord want me to do. It is not the question of what I want to do. That is not the question. The question is, what does the master want me to do? That's a good servant. Okay? So, the servant does not determine his success or failure. He does not judge that. It is the master who decides that. You know, the servant may think that he is so successful because he's popular and he has so many fans, but if what he's doing is not in line with the will of the master, he's a bad servant. Look at Jesus. The cross was a failure to the world, right? It was a failure to the world. To the eyes of the world, the cross was a scandal. It was a failure. But in the eyes of the Master, the Father, He just did right. He did good. Excellent. A failure to the world. But in the eye of the Master, He was great. So your success and failure is not determined by you, but by the boss who told you what to do. That is very important in the understanding of servant. Now, the next point is, probably many of you who may have heard of Albert Schweitzer. He is a philanthropist, a popular a person from Europe. One time he was invited in Harvard to deliver a graduation ceremony, a speech to a sea of the graduates in medicine, doctors. And this is what he said. He said, I'm talking to you now as graduates. I want to congratulate all of you for graduating in the med school. He said, many of you will be very successful, Many of you will become wealthy because of your profession. Many of you will be popular and will have a lot of things and fame and money. But then he said, only those of you, if you want to be truly happy and a profound self-esteem and peace, you can only do that if you are willing to serve. If your intention and your profession is really to serve. Because any profession, if it is motivated by something else, like money, wealth, there's a temptation, especially in professions like that. He said, you will never be happy. You will never have peace. If you lied to your patients for money, if you cheated and gave wrong advice because your motivation is money, you will never have peace. You will always be guilty, and you sold your self-esteem for $20. You will never have peace. You may be wealthy, but only those who truly serve, honestly, stand for the truth are the ones who will be truly happy. That's what he said. And that is right, because anything can be corrupted by wrong motivation, anything. So, as I would always say to everybody here in the parish, my staff and the employees and the volunteers and all the ministries and the committees, you will never succeed in ministry. You will never succeed in business like this if you don't have servant attitude. You have to learn servant attitude according to the teaching of Jesus. It's not about us. It is about executing the will of God, listening to His will. That's the only way by which we will succeed in ministry and as a parish and as a church. I'll tell you one experience. One time, when we were building this church about 4 years ago, and the rectory was still in the other side of the street, and it was a lot of work. The construction was starting, and then we purchased another property and a lot of clearing, a lot of so it was 5 o'clock in the morning, and before I got out of bed, I woke up and had a little prayer, and I told the Lord, Lord, I'm already tired. Okay, there are so many things to do. I don't know where to get the resources that we will need. there's a lot of meetings today with engineers and architects, and then I'll be called to go to places I don't like to go because I know I will see a lot of suffering, and so I'm already tired. I want to give up already, and I almost heard the Lord Jesus whispering in my ear. He said, "Peter," I said, "Yes, Lord." "Shut up." You shut up because you worry too much about where will you get this. That is not your problem. You are a servant, okay? Get up and report to your station and do what you are told. That's all you have to do. Do what you are told. I told you to do something like this. Whatever, where you get concrete, wood, and cement, and stones, and said, that is not your problem. That is mine. Just do what you are told. Just report. Execute my will. And so, rightly so, I drove early in the morning, very early, about 5:36. I saw a dozen bulldozers really moving the mountain. I will move the mountain for you. Just follow my will. That is the job of a servant. Okay? That is his job. So, we will, to show to you how we are living the calling of being servants from the things happening in our parish. And not only because I want to save time, of the announcements, but there's another speaker after me from this sister diocese. But there are things that are happening now in the parish that reflect our calling as servants. First, I want to inform you a good and very happy announcement and good news. The diocese audits parishes every 3 years. And we have completed our audit last week. And we made it to number 1 in the diocese. Which means that they have not found anything wrong with our policies and procedures in the diocese. And that's very comforting for you. And we know we have to inform you because all the resources and everything is in compliance with internal controls are in place and safe environment policies are implemented. And so they have not found anything. The report was a blank page, So this is the first time they said that this has happened to a parish in the Diocese of Orlando in the last 50 years. This is the first time that they... That is why it reflects you, our community. Of course, we have a great finance council that is, they're very dedicated. A good staff, my director of operations, Cindy, and office manager Star, and our bookkeeper, Lee, and all the employees and the staff, and then the volunteers. And this is to say thank you to all of them for their patience, for coming up with all of this. So it reflects the entire life of the parish that it is about being servant, really. It's not about us. It's living the call to serve. And it is not easy, but hey, we can sleep at night. We have peace of mind and proud to be a part of this community. So that's one example of servanthood. Second, as you know, in spite of all the challenges, we are moving. We are finally, it's already, the building it will surely happen. And we consulted focus groups because I don't want to build something without asking the parishioners. So ministry heads were consulted, and there was a survey that was announced already for you, the general community. Yesterday, Bob Carberry told me that in 24 hours, we already got 700 responses. So that's a good show. You still need a Tuesday for the deadline. So if you have the chance to go into they are very general questions of what's your brainstorm and how do you want the place to look and the things that you need there. I have to listen to you so I can serve you better. We have a town hall meeting on Friday at 4 o'clock, and we will invite you to come. And, it is very important that you are able to express from your heart, because you will use that place. You will use the parish center. The pastors come and go, you stay. This is your place. So that's the place, the thing that you will use. And we have, thank God, in consultation with the experts, that we can address issues that we will need as much as we can. No guarantees for details, but we want to bring out, we want the place to be a reflection of your needs. It will be a beautiful place that we will be building. So after this, we will have renderings of the architects, and then we'll present this for final approval in the diocese. And then modulars will come because we will demolish the old building. And right after Easter, we will contain the place and start digging and building. Hopefully by 1 year, we will finish with the building. And by 2020, we have a new parish center. And these two sides will be expanded for the total of 2,000 seats. That is responding to 468 that are building 6 communities there, 22,000 homes. 1/3 of that are Catholics, and they're coming here. So we are ready, So that's another servanthood. We are responding to the needs of our people to serve them well. Now, so please do the survey. And then the town hall meeting. Many forms of being servant are here in the parish. Opportunities for you to live your life called as servants. We have so many charitable works. The food, the outreach, the food for the children, the free clinic, and all of this are wonderful opportunities because our faith is not just around the 4 corners, 4 walls of this building. We go out and save lives. And that is an opportunity for you to live your call for servanthood.